Good morning, everybody. Figured I'd take a minute to go on and just kind of recap everything that I heard. Am I wearing the same sweatshirt? Yeah, I slept in it. I'm still in it, so I promise I'll change. Everything that I can gather and everything that I understand at this point is that Niagara Falls protest ended peacefully last night. They did have individuals that I've seen before. They were wearing peacemaker shirts, and these gentlemen and these ladies who were wearing the yellow peacemaker shirts did a great job. There were paid protesters that were there. You could see them. You could see them trying to incite riots with the people that were there. The people in the yellow peacemaker shirts, they did everything they could to make sure that didn't happen. What they did was start a prayer group, and I just saw a video. Well, I saw the video last night. What they did was there was a gentleman stood up, said, "These men and women want to go home. We want to go home. Let's shake their hands. If you want to shake their hands, shake their hands." So these people that were left at the protest, they peacefully gathered, walked down the line, and they fist bumped and shook the hands of all the officers that they had been standing in front of the whole night. And that was just beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. It was an amazing moment. It just goes to show, what love and common sense and balance and using your head and what rationale can do. These people, these peacemakers that were there, I don't know who they were, but amazing job. But I also want to commend what the Niagara Falls Police Department, what the Lewiston Police Department, the New York State Police all did. They did an amazing job last night. They never once lost their cool. They maintained, they were balanced, they were level. It got escalated a couple of times, but they maintained professionalism the entire time. As far as I know, there was only one arrest. There was a young kid, I guess, on a scooter or a bike that used firework or a gun. I'm not sure, but they did arrest him, and that was it. That's my understanding. So the rest of the town, what happened was I did get a report about Walmart on Walden in Cheektowaga that they were looting it and rioting and that there were fires. As far as I can tell, that was not the case. Taylor Zablonsky shared a video with me, and what happened there yesterday were there were two girls while the store was still open, from as far as I can tell. They were in the store. Now, I don't know if these women were targeted as Antifa, as members of Antifa, but Cheektowaga police descended on them very quickly. They apprehended them, they cuffed them, they subdued, or they just were in cuffs and they were done doing what they were doing. So as far as I could tell, it was during the day. Cheektowaga police shut down Walmart immediately. It was all captured on camera by an individual. There were like 12 squad cars that responded right away. Lancaster, as far as I could tell, the same thing happened. So what happened was, we know Antifa came into our area. We know paid protesters came into our area. We know that's what they did. As I said last night, I got a report that 75% of the protesters down in the city the other night, when I think it was Saturday night, were peaceful, and they were picking up and trying to help. Lancaster in Niagara Falls last night, the same thing. Like I said, about 98% of all the protesters, they were peaceful that were there. They just want to protect themselves. And the police, as far as I could tell, did an amazing job. And I don't know anything about the Niagara Falls police. I don't know what level of corruption or abuse of power that they have there in that city. I think that we need to really kind of take a look at that. And hopefully these departments are really taking a close look at themselves. But here's something that represents what these departments have done and are doing. They maintained decorum the entire time. They never escalated. So let's hope that changes are taking place in these departments, that they're not so quick to respond to rioters in a bad way. I'm encouraged. And if I'm encouraged with all the fight that you people, everybody on my page knows that I put into against police corruption and abuse of power, then you know that you know that it's an encouraging situation, guys. So what else happened? Unfortunately, it looks like there were a couple of U-Hauls. These are the reports that I got last night. A couple of the U-Hauls were driving around town. There were reports that there were three. Apparently, the third one was not found. There are reports that they were stolen, but I don't have any any confirmation on that. I also have reports of gunshots throughout Kenmore and North Buffalo. I'm guessing that, and the East Side. So I'm guessing that those were those two vehicles. The reports that I have on the East Side shooting, the most detailed account that I have are that they were driving up and along Humboldt Parkway and shooting down into the 33, that they were shooting at vehicles. And allegedly, the information that I got, one woman was shot in the arm and she was treated. So thankfully, it was just one person. Kenmore, I don't know what happened. I don't have any details of what happened in Kenmore or North Buffalo, wherever that was. However, I have heard reports that there were, in fact, shots there. So make no mistake, like I said last night, these people need to be treated as though this was a terrorist attack. This was an act of war on our town last night and our law enforcement and our families and our friends. That's what this was. And what's going to happen because of the laws that were passed by Cuomo, so everybody needs to be aware of this. Law enforcement, Randy Ratichak, who was an Erie County sheriff, friend of mine, just said that the people that were arrested last night, who were responsible for everything that happened in our towns last night, they were freed last night. So whether they were shooting at people or whether they had planned to shoot people or whether they were ready to loot and riot and attack police officers, those people are all now out. No bail. That's thanks to Cuomo and bail reform and all your legislators. These terrorists that came into our town were paid to come into our town, arrived at Niagara Falls yesterday. By all reports, arrived in Niagara Falls yesterday and on Saturday. They are now free again. People that paid these people have very big pocketbooks. So what happens most of the time when these people come into towns to disrupt everything and create violence, these the people with the big pocketbooks that support them, they pay everything for them. They pay their legal fees with their fancy attorneys, and they pay when they have to have bail and they get out. Well, now they don't even have to pay bail. They're out. And they could go do this to another city. They can go do this to other neighbors. So what can we do? That's a conversation for another day. I'm just reporting what happened yesterday. So Walmart, we covered that. Target and Lancaster, 3 individuals are what I've heard. Helicopter was overhead. Erie County Sheriff's helicopter was overhead. Lancaster police responded immediately, and the 3 individuals were apprehended. I'm guessing released on bail. So ask yourself about that. The Cheektowaga Police Department had Galleria Drive, Galleria Mall, Target on lockdown. Nobody was getting in. Those guys did an amazing job. The Buffalo Police Department, those guys, they did an amazing job yesterday down in the city. And, I'm going to give props to Poloncarz because he doesn't deserve anything. It was the Buffalo Police that did that job. They made sure they were respectful. I guess there were some arrests for violation of curfew, but for the most part, everything was peaceful from what I've heard. There was no rioting. There was no looting. So amazing job, Buffalo PD. They've been working with us every time we do a protest to get people back to work, and they've been amazing. Now I know exactly where these people stand. West Seneca Police Department, now they did a great job too. They responded to Southgate Plaza. They diffused everything immediately. Immediately. Then once the call got out that these people were because they were pissed. Make no mistake that Antifa, the members of Antifa and the paid protesters, they were here to do something. They were here to disrupt our town and our lives. That's why they were here. They were here to escalate the situation with protesters that have a legitimate concern, a legitimate beef with police corruption and abuse of power in the police department. So I wanted to get back to Niagara Falls. Amazing thing that they did yesterday. Chief of police and the mayor were both there to talk to everybody. That was an amazing job. And that needs to be something that is replicated in every town. Like that needs to be a model. I have several posts that I saw. New Jersey, the protesters sat down with police for a barbecue. What a beautiful moment that was. And another report of another town, I can't remember what it was, that police and protesters came together. Guys, law enforcement, I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of family in all levels of law enforcement. You know my passion against police corruption and abuse of power. You know my passion and how long I've been talking about this. Most of law enforcement, most of them, they don't want the bad eggs in there either, but they have no vehicle or remedy to get these people out. And unfortunately, what happens all too often are these bad officers end up ascending within their ranks to positions of leadership, whether they become lieutenants or chiefs. And everybody in the department is like, are you kidding me right now? So not only are they not just on the street, but now they're affecting actual officers with their opinions and how they're doing things or what they're saying and how to conduct themselves. Guys, we're all together on this. We were all together yesterday. It was a beautiful thing. I wanted to report that about Niagara Falls. It was just a special moment and how they handled everything. That's how these things should be handled all the time. Like, what a genius, beautiful move by Niagara Falls PD. In the chief and the mayor out there. They have a lot of problems. That city has a lot of problems. But last night I did an amazing job. So we covered Southgate Plaza, what happened there. Orchard Park Police Department, they had everything on lockdown. There were reports of gunshots out in rural communities. Now that could have just been hunters doing whatever. But I've posted today to ask anybody if they've heard anything or seen anything, and I'm really not hearing anything. So guys, let's hope that this is all crushed. I think the important thing to remember on all of this is that it was a very, very, very small group of people that came into our town to disrupt and upset everybody. We've been dealing with so much for over 90 days, all of us. Not being able to see loved ones, our businesses not being able to be open, people being afraid of how they're going to feed their families, schools being closed, people can't graduate, suicide numbers going up, mental illness going up. We've been dealing with this for 90 days, and then these people, they decide that this is an appropriate time to come into our town when we're already suffering. Thank you, Susan. It was fireworks. That's awesome. Out in Eden, it was fireworks, guys. So great news there. These people decided to take advantage of this and exploit this opportunity to come into our town and attack us. Attack us when we already are hurting, when so many people are already down, when so many people are suffering. They decided to do a terror activity and perpetrate what they did. Okay, so South Buffalo, those guys, that's where it all started. I got the report right away from my buddy Pat Gorman. Said that they were congregating in Cass Park. That was dispersed apparently very quickly. I was told that they were congregating at 500 Hopkins, which probably was a bad address because I went all the way down to, where the Basilica is, where that ties in there from Hopkins on the backside of the park there. Drove all the way up and down Hopkins. Nobody was there. Where they were apparently was at Southside. And who was there was the individual who said, it's time, and I'm going to post this on my page. This guy came out and said, it's time for the white hoods in the residential suburbs to pay. Comrades. And he called them comrades. There were several other posts by people in their group telling them and just applauding what they were going to do and how they were going to terrorize us in our neighborhoods. So they don't care what they're going to do to us. They don't. Their agenda is just to disrupt and destroy. Make no mistake about it. Their financiers, that's what they wanted to do. And they escalated it to a point where they involved gunmen that were shooting at our neighbors, at our, our friends, our family, and all of our neighborhoods. That's what they did. They aren't afraid to escalate this, guys. So again, amazing job to everybody who networked yesterday. Everybody on my page, everybody in law enforcement that networked yesterday. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's the way the collaboration is supposed to work. That's the only reason law enforcement is supposed to be there. Not to terrorize innocent people for going 5 miles per hour, or police for profit, or setting up roadblocks in the middle of the day to make sure inspections so that you're terrorizing a 70 or 80-year-old woman. That's not what law enforcement is for, guys. And through this, we're seeing that law enforcement is recognizing that, and they're saying the same things. They're like, why are we doing this to our citizenry? They need our support, guys. Law enforcement, they don't want to be doing those things. They don't want to be hassling or harassing us or arresting us for no reason. Most law enforcement, they have no interest in that. They just want to keep the peace, truly. And yesterday they did. Southside School, they descended on the gathering that was there. I did not get to see it. By that time, I had already moved on, and I think my phone died. But the leader of the group who said that they were going to attack the burbs, he was there. And they arrested him. Now, he was probably released as well. Again, terrorist activity that he was committing. So driving around South Buffalo, my cousin Colleen Sikora and her family, Brianne and Tyler and Dennis, they were cruising. They were rolling, and they're doing their thing. But they gave me reports, and they said everything, was locked up or boarded up. And I saw that too. But, South Buffalo, they came together. I have friends that were like, we're on our porch. We're ready. Bring it. Do what you got to. And I think that that's the important thing to realize too, guys. I don't want anybody to be scared of these people. Our law enforcement came together. We came together. These people had small numbers, very small numbers, which is representative of what Americans want. We want to live peacefully. We want to live freely. We want to be together. We want to live harmoniously. We want to live symbiotically. We want to be able to go to work. We want to be able to provide for our families. We want to be able to succeed. We want to be able to go on vacation. We want to be able to go get our hair cut. We want to be able to go to get our massage therapist. You know why? Because this is where our friends are. This is our respite. This is where we can go to unload. And these people that work these businesses, all businesses are essential, all of them, to somebody, to either the owner, that owner's family, or somebody that goes there because they look forward to that moment where they might not have anything else going on. They're lonely. I had so many people text me last night, say, Pete, I'm alone. I'm afraid. Can you be there for me? Can I pick up the phone and text you? How sad is that? And that story is replicated tens of thousands of times, guys. That's my passion about all this, to bring people back together. So South Buffalo, they represented last night. They weren't going to take shit, And I don't mean to knock the people on Elmwood Village, but Elmwood Village is definitely a stark difference than the people in South Buffalo. South Buffalo people are going to be way more hardy, as are the people in Riverside, as are the people on the West Side, as are the people in Black Rock, as are the people in North Buffalo. North Buffalo ain't going to take shit. Kenmore ain't going to take shit. I mean, I know that for a fact. Those are communities, and those are some of the most tight-knit communities that we have, and try and attack those areas. East Side, unfortunately, it is prey, to violence like this. And thank God that it was stopped last night. So South Buffalo was fine. South Buffalo was all good. And every other town, fortunately, they were ready. They were prepared. I didn't hear anything about any of the north towns, but from everything that I understand, most things were peaceful and quiet. Again, which is indicative of how many people were actually involved from the far left and who are sympathizers with these people. The fact that they didn't even have anybody in their cells that they have, their terrorist cells that they have across the country, they didn't have anybody here in Antifa willing to do their dirty work for them. They had to pay people to come in to our area. And they had to pay members of Antifa to come into our area to perpetrate what they were perpetrating against us. So that's encouraging, guys. The fact that we all came together as a community last night, that's also encouraging, very encouraging. So, what I did want to mention is that protesters in other areas down in Birmingham, Alabama, they attacked, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but they attacked members of the media. They were beating, kicking, hitting women and a man and a couple of men who were minding their own business in the media, reporting out what was going on. That's what they did. In another town, I can't remember what it was. I know Minneapolis was one town that, business owners were out there that got attacked. Guys, these business owners have been hurting. They've been shut down for months. And then these people, and they're finally have a ray of hope. They finally have a ray of hope that they're going to be able to open up again. Finally. And then this happens. Their business is attacked. Some of these business owners, they haven't been able to afford insurance. So what happens? So now they had to cancel insurance because they can't get any money. They're not getting unemployment. Their businesses were shut down. And now they were attacked. And there were a couple other instances. I can't remember exactly what happened, but there was an individual who goes, I'm black, guys. Why are you attacking my business? And another woman, they beat her with a 2x4, another business owner. So this isn't about racial equality. This isn't about police abuse and police corruption. When you're going out and you're looting and you're rioting, when you have a great message, which all of us would have stood behind, every single person of every single ethnicity that is out there, every one of us supported the fact that that man was killed and going against the guy that did it. And we supported the actions that were taken swiftly by that police department against those individuals, all the individuals. They were removed from the police department, and then the one guy at least was arrested. So what they did is they're opportunistic. They are thugs. That's exactly what they are, Susie. And they exploited this and took advantage of this when people are already hurting to attack them and attack their businesses. Guys, we're safe today because of law enforcement. We're safe today because of one another. We're safe today because we all came together as a community. I can't thank everybody enough. I cannot thank law enforcement enough, guys. Use this, whatever little amount you have in you that wants to fight and take this back. And one last thing that I have to say is that de Blasio, do not forget that de Blasio and Cuomo supported these criminals and they invited them into our city. They invited them to go against our law enforcement, our husbands, our wives, our brothers, our fathers, our mothers. They invited these people to come into our town knowing they were attacking other towns and how violent it was getting, and they knew how violent it got in Buffalo the night before. And these people, de Blasio and Cuomo, welcomed and invited these criminals, these terrorists into our town. And people got shot last night. And a lot of people could have got hurt. And a lot of people could have got shot. And businesses were destroyed on Saturday. Thankfully, from what I hear from the reports, there weren't any businesses that were destroyed. But guys, every single law enforcement officer out there was at risk. And de Blasio invited them out. And Cuomo invited them out. Do not forget that. They put our law enforcement, our family, our friends, our neighborhoods at risk. Carelessly, recklessly, negligently, criminally. This is what they did to us. By not condemning the actions of the rioters and the looters, by not even allowing local media to cover it in a way to show what it was and what could happen, they put all of us at risk. So Facebook yesterday, they buried different video that was calling attention to this. Now, thankfully, the black bus out in Hamburg turned out to just be a very, very, very poorly timed and inconvenient thing for the individual that did that. So that was what happened out there. Thank God that was the case. But just eerie coincidence, right? That all happened that way. But Facebook was actively burying people reporting about Antifa and protesters yesterday, trying to call attention to what was happening so that we could protect ourselves and we could defend ourselves. They were burying that information. Oh, Hamburg Police Department, I forgot. Hamburg Police Department, they did an amazing job. Mark Burness is my brother. He's a 911 dispatcher out there. He's an incredible individual. He has been volunteering for fire departments. And, I think he's the president right now of Newton Abbott. He has been for a long time. Very highly regarded paramedics, 911 dispatcher. Hamburg Police Department, thank you to them. Thank you to all the police departments that did everything that they did. Thank you to Erie County Sheriffs. They were rolling heavy last night. They were badass. They were incredible. I didn't see state troopers around, so I don't know what the dynamic is if they're really not able to help. Hopefully, Cuomo didn't tell them to stand down. Guys, New York State troopers are pissed at Cuomo. Erie County sheriffs are pissed at Cuomo. And pulling cars, both of them. These are our families, guys. These members of law enforcement are our families. And they're pissed at these guys. They're putting them at risk. What they're saying and what they're doing. Allowing criminals back on the street right after they're arrested. They can't stand these guys. Know that. Be there for them. Wave to them. I went over to Cheektowaga Police Department and I prayed yesterday. And I stood in front of Niagara Falls Police Department last night when everything was done. And you know what? I prayed. And I was the only person that prayed. And I thanked every single officer that was there. I told them, guys, thank you. Amazing job. Every woman, every man that was there. I stood on those steps, and I didn't stand on the steps, but I want to be that guy. But I stood there and I thanked them, and then I prayed. I prayed in Cheektowaga before, and the officer, he came up to me. I know he asked, of course, they're going to be afraid. Everybody's on high alert, but I just told him I was going to pray, for everybody. And everybody knows I'm not a very religious person. I have faith. I believe. I talk to, my family. Maybe a little bit crazy there, but, I do believe in that. And I prayed, and I'm not saying my prayers were answered, but all of our prayers, all of those officers' prayers were answered last night when those protesters, potential rioters, shook their hands at the end of that. Cheektowaga was safe last night. Erie County was safe because of the hard work that law enforcement put in. There was a lot of hard work that those guys put in. And women, they were prepared. Guys, these guys are our family. We stand behind them. Let them know. Say a prayer for them when you go by. Every time I see one, I give the sign of the cross. Those guys, they're facing a lot of shit, and they're nervous and they're scared too. But last night, guys, we came together as a community, and I was so proud. Like, when I go to a Bills game and I see the signs and I see the tailgating and I see all of that and I see just the creativity, it's been a little bit lost at Sabres game because it's all bougie at Sabres games now, but you still get it at Bandits games, right? You still get a little bit of Bisons for the 50 people that show up, when we can do this. And the Buffalo Bills, guys, this town is comprised of some of the toughest, hardest working, nicest, most caring, loving, amazing, friendly, smart, compassionate, empathetic people that there are. Don't let this state, don't let pulling cars, don't let a virus, Don't let the fact that they are trying to mandatory everything on us at this point, don't let that take anything away from us, guys. Be family, be friends. Remember when we were growing up and we would have neighborhood dinners, right? And we would be out there. Yesterday showed that, guys. Yesterday showed what can happen when we all work together. And we defended this town. We defended this city. And we had every one of those law enforcement, men and women yesterday. We had their backs. And they did a beautiful job. So I think I covered everything that I wanted to this morning in recapping. So if you do have any additional information, if you've heard anything, guys, we need to stay vigilant because, okay, they're very, their short-term memory is lacking, the people that do this stuff. So they're going to come in, they're going to make their hit, and then they're going to go out. So it's very likely that they're not coming back, especially that they saw how organized we were, how focused we were in, deterring and stopping everything that they were going to do to us yesterday. So it was a small group of people. It's probably not going to happen again, guys, which is amazing that we were able to do this. But be there for one another like we were yesterday. Try to understand a little bit of what your neighbor might be going through, regardless of what side you're on. Try to, be sensitive to that. Try to be empathetic to that. Little acts of kindness, they help. Going through all of this. Like I said, shaking an officer's hand when you're there, when that officer is I can't tell you how many times I've gone up to officers and thanked them where I've seen them, bald dude coming up, so looks like me, and, hands like I'm just teasing, but, thank them, just say a prayer for these men and women, and, just be there for one another like we were yesterday. If I do get any additional information on this, guys, I will share it with you. But that's the recap that I have. Let's hope. Last thing I want to close on is, guys, please follow up with these different departments that that there were the arrests, whether it was Buffalo PD, whether it was Cheektowaga, whatever. Make sure you contact your city legislators. Make sure you contact those police departments to find out exactly how it's developing with the arrests of these individuals. Because what I'm being told, like I said, Randy Radachak reported it, a former Erie County Sheriff, said that these people are being released based on bail reform. And I'm not saying that bail reform shouldn't happen to a degree, because it needed to. But when somebody comes into our town and attacks us like this, for them to be free to go back to wherever it is and probably never end up answering for what they did, that's wrong. So in closing, let's make sure that we insist that these perpetrators have to answer for what it is that they did, guys. It just really, bless this town, bless everybody that was in it. You guys, amazing job. And I know a lot of people didn't even know that this happened, which is a testament, because that's the other thing, the media, the local media. I don't know how they're portraying this. I don't know if they're not even reporting it. So I can't say, because I don't watch the news for obvious reasons, but, I don't know how they're covering it. Hopefully they're not letting this die. Hopefully, but again, they don't want to blow it up either. So there's a delicate balance. I get that, because you don't want to, instill terror even more than what they've been doing, for 3 months. But we're not going to get into that, because I see some people that are here that they don't want to hear that. But they don't want to instill fear into the people that have been so fearful, and kids, and adults and the elderly. They may not be reporting that, but, make sure you share the stories of what happened with everybody that you know. Make sure you share the stories and talk about it. Let's make sure these people that were responsible for this are held accountable. Make sure you're there for the protesters that are doing it peacefully. They do have a good message. And again, thank you everybody for doing a great job and coming together. it really did my heart a lot of good yesterday to see that. It just an amazing time to fight the way we did and to stop and battle everything that we did. So, like I said, man, love all you guys. Love having you as a family. I can't wait to see most of you again soon. Some of you I have been seeing because I haven't gone into shutdown or lockdown mode. I've been living my life, but yesterday was awesome, guys. Enjoy your day. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.